Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here today. I have some special guests here today from Kubit and Snowplow. Thank you and the whole audience for joining us for the Breaking Down Silos: How Composable Analytics Stacks Are Shaping the Future. I'm joined here today with Travis from Kubit, Mo from Snowplow, and John from Snowplow. I'm really excited to get this kicked off. Some housekeeping items. Feel free to ask and engage with us on the chat function on the comments within LinkedIn. We are really excited to answer your questions live at the very end of the presentation. Outside of that, we'll end the call with some of those questions and follow up with anything that we're not able to answer live. With that being said, I'd like to have John, Mo, and Travis introduce themselves and get this kicked off. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I look forward to hearing your guys' presentation.
Thank you so much, Adriana. Welcome, everyone. Really appreciate everyone taking the time today to tune in. Bit about myself. My name is John Baruce. I'm on our partner marketing team here at Snowplow. So this topic today really resonates with me. I've spent the past decade plus utilizing digital analytics tools as a practitioner, also consulting on them as a previous employee at analytics vendor. So really excited to be talking about kind of the past, present, and future of the industry. Today, we are joined by one of our great partners, Kubit, specifically Travis Strickland. So Travis, I'll let you go ahead and do an intro.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Pleasure to be here today. Travis Strickland. I lead solutions engineering at Kubit. When I was, found out I could work with Mo again, it's been a couple of years since we collaborated together here. So I was really excited to come together here today and share some feedback and kind of, what I'm hearing on the front lines as I work with our prospects and customers and talk about some of the evolution that we're seeing in the market right now. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Travis. And Mo, I'll let you do an intro as well.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So great to see you both again, and great to see everyone on the live today. It's here at Snowplow. I've been supporting the data space for the past, several years, walking folks through product and marketing use cases. So excited to be here with Travis to especially talk about the analytics side of things and, again, how we're breaking down silos together. So, yeah.
Awesome. So, let's dive right into it. We'd love to let's start with the basics, Mo, if you don't mind. So would be great if you could just kind of give a brief history of how data has been tagged, how it's been ingested over the years, just kind of paint that picture for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So historically, we've relied on SDKs and APIs through siloed tools such as Adobe and Google Analytics for behavioral data tracking and ingestion. And initially, these tools provided great value by tracking user interactions to offer things like visualization and trend analysis. But however, as digital touchpoints increased, so did the demands of capturing, processing these touchpoints to understand user behaviors at a deeper level. So this, in fact, led to revealing some of the limitations of these, legacy tools. So, for example, some of the bigger challenges have been their inability to keep up with evolving market trends for real-time data infrastructure needs and use case demands. So with things like rising AI and the machine learning world that we're in today, capturing and processing digital touchpoints in real time became a key requirement to power things like hyper-personalization. Specifically, we've seen companies wanting to do things like content recommendations, product recommendations, dynamic ad placement, or even content placement, all to increase user engagement and build that user loyalty. And again, this all requires working with real-time warehouses to store data. It requires working with some of the more modern data lakehouse architecture solutions to actually drive the AI and ML. And also, you need to provide for things like data governance as it comes to tracking and ingesting the data in, and complying with extremely stringent data tracking regulations as it comes to privacy tracking through applying first-party or proper first-party tracking. So, passing it to you, Travis. Can you expand on the analytics side of things for us? How have analytics solutions evolved over time?
Certainly. And I'll tell a similar story, potentially from a different lens here. And that starts with going back nearly 20 years to 2005 when Google acquired Urchin Software, a few months later releasing Google Analytics, which arguably was just an ingenious play to get more traction with Google Ads, but that's neither here nor there. And to jog everyone's memory and help set the table a bit about our level of connectedness back then, the first iPhone had just begun secret development in 2005. Wouldn't even be released to the public until 2007. So we hadn't yet made that leap into a mobile first world. 2 years after that, and definitely not to be outdone by Google, Adobe acquired Omniture in 2009, subsequently releasing Adobe Analytics, and really the web analytics race was off to the races then. Now, it's important to note that for the landscape of the time, these offerings were very cutting edge. But as we compare them to now, they provided really simplistic web analytics, things like sessions, bounce rates, impressions. And that was okay back then because mobile applications, as we know them today, didn't exist, right? Web applications, which were more like glorified websites, were far less robust and interactive than they are today. So while Google and Adobe capitalized as end-to-end data and analytics tools for simple website analytics, their fundamental approach set them up for struggles in evolving to meet the changing data landscape and continuing growth of customer expectation, which ultimately spurred the next major evolution in analytics, which came about the early 2010s, give or take, with newer product analytic tools, right? These offerings captured more granular data, was more event-driven, timestamp-driven. They introduced things like deeper user journey tracking and behavioral cohort analysis, and ultimately provided more flexibility and depth in usability. However, there was also an element of added complexity, specifically with the data side of the house, which often had to be extracted, transformed, loaded, and that created bottlenecks and silos that complicated maintaining a single source of truth. Now, you fast forward to today with market trends accelerating rapidly the way they are, the drawbacks of these third-party analytic tools are pretty clear, and businesses are demanding transparency, ownership, and control over all of their data.
Yeah, and it resonates a ton with me, Travis, as you're kind of depicting this timeline, because as someone who used Omniture, one of my first jobs out of school, I think at the time it seemed very mind-blowing and novel that you could see these basic kind of data points about your website and still make decisions. But obviously the ecosystem around us, from a technology perspective, the device explosion that you mentioned, just kind of the needs and requirements, all really very much evolved. And yeah, obviously those tools kind of fell by the wayside in terms of their innovation. So yeah, really great to kind of have that depiction from both of you. You both mentioned a shift in market trends that I want to double click on. Mo, can you shed some light on what do you mean by that? Like how has the data landscape in particular changed, and what are some of the shifts in tooling, architectures, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely, John. So we're seeing a significant shift towards cloud data warehouses and lakehouse architectures. And this is all driven by the need for things like real-time data ingestion, ML-driven use cases, and also powering analytics, all of which are a key requirement for companies today. But in order to work properly with these solutions, clickstream data needs to be captured at scale with first-party tracking applied, processed quickly with applied data governance and transformation rules, and uploaded into these storage destinations in real time. And then subsequently, once uploaded, you have to kind of model them into customer 360 tables so that you can easily query that data and work off of it to drive use cases, drive analytics, power, again, AI, ML, decisioning, and so on. And this whole piece is very difficult to do with the legacy tools that we mentioned before. Additionally, on top of that, organizations today, they're prioritizing kind of building AI and ML personalization use cases to better connect to their users. And this requires the data to be delivered in a reliable and consistent way, and also modeled so that it can be ingested by these algorithms easily. So again, this means that the data governance rules need to be applied in the data ingestion phase so that we can check for the accuracy of the captured data, or else the ML use cases on top of the data is ultimately going to fail, because ML requires data to be in a very clean, consistent, formatted way, or else it just doesn't work at scale to sort of make intelligent decisions. And finally, there's a stronger need for meeting privacy regulations. So across the world, we see so many different changes and additional regulations coming out to better protect user data as it comes to tracking and storing that data. But it's required for many companies to capture that data so that you can sort of understand trends and make these AI and ML decisions. So in order to comply with these regulations, the data needs to be captured in a first-party way. So that means that you can stay compliant with these changing privacy regulations. And ultimately, the best way to do that is to really own the data capturing and processing pipelines and apply technology that truly allows you to do first-party data tracking. And all these elements are extremely important, but they don't paint the whole picture. So Travis, I'm curious as to the other half of things, like some of the trends that you're seeing in the market today as it comes to the Kubit end.
Yeah, I mean, I could chat about this for a long time. I think I'll pick two of what you talked about, of being some of the consumer expectation trends and then the cloud data warehousing. So before getting to the technology side of the house, which is obviously very significant, I think the need to address the shift in consumer behaviors and expectations is really important, because today's consumers expect real-time personalization with every single interaction. They want a highly personalized experience, and the multitude of channels and touch points that they can even have with brands, and we're talking whether it's B2C or B2B, has grown exponentially, right? And all that nets out to a ton more data. So on the technology side, as I just said, lots more data. The global data sphere is actually on track to surpass 163 zettabytes. Now, I don't know if you know how much that is or even what a zettabyte is.
That's all I can say. It's a ton of data.
Ton of data. I had to look it up as well. It's actually on the order of about 163 trillion gigabytes. So we're talking about a lot of data. And that trend isn't new, right? We saw a technology shift start about 13 years ago when it came to data, and specifically data warehousing. In 2011, the general availability of Google BigQuery, followed in 2012 by a little company called Snowflake. And then rounding us out in 2013 with the lakehouse flavor of warehousing, we have Databricks. Now, they're not the only three. There are many others that do an awesome job with this as well. But I'll use these as the more household names to highlight the fact that organizations are not only taking advantage of their data via cloud data warehousing, but I would argue they're actually living and dying by that data and how they use it to inform strategic business decisions. So now the question then becomes, what do we do with all this? How do we manage it? And how do we extract the most value from it? And at the end of the day, organizations are demanding everything you talked about, Mo, plus flexibility, scalability, and deep, meaningful insights for all areas of the business. And this is exactly where best-in-breed composable tools come into play, and where legacy tools are falling a bit short. And this is why organizations like Paramount are turning to Kubit for help in activating their data.
So yeah, and I think it sounds like you're leading us somewhere there, Travis, where yeah, composable, obviously the title of the session, like composability obviously being a key value prop there. Mo, would love if you could kind of start to dive a bit deeper into Snowplow and Kubit, specifically the unique roles and how we kind of fit into that equation.
Yeah, of course. So happy to dive into that. So on the Snowplow side, Snowplow provides the bedrock of customer data infrastructure that actually captures real-time event level data. And this allows businesses to leverage high quality governed data sets for deep analysis. And just to go into this, some of the solutions that Snowplow uniquely provides are things such as first-party data tracking and PII hashing. And this ensures that all consented user data is tracked and securely stored properly, meaning that you won't really have data gaps and data loss as it comes to end-to-end understanding what a user is doing as they're interacting with your sites or mobile applications or any other digital assets. We also have solutions such as the Snowflake Streaming Loader, which gets data into Snowflake in under 3 seconds. And this is an incredibly fast upload time. And you can imagine the types of real-time use cases that you can power when your user interaction data is getting into your warehouse in such incredibly low latency. And finally, Snowplow provides things such as DBT models, such as our unified model and attribution model. These sit on top of the raw clickstream data that Snowplow is able to capture, and it models the data by aggregating it and making sense of it. So for example, we'll go ahead and stitch user data to really create a users table to help you understand on a per user level, what is their stitched ID, and against that stitched ID, what is it that that user has been doing in relation to interacting with your sites. Also, some of our DBT models, such as our attribution package, helps to optimize on ads dollars. So, everyone's spending big dollars today as it comes to acquiring users and pulling them into their sites. So why not spend the time to intelligently understand where are you spending dollars that are leading to the most site visits and ultimately conversions. And just to give you an example, we have a customer, Kindred. They're a large gambling brand with over 9 million active users. And they were able to onboard Snowplow in just about 8 weeks to go ahead and consolidate and process large-scale user interaction data. They specifically made a strategic shift away from Adobe Analytics as it was way too costly to scale their business with Adobe. And effectively today with Snowplow, they were able to reduce their infrastructure costs by 18% by migrating to Snowplow, while increasing their user data collection by 40%. And in doing so, they were generating deeper insights about the customer journey, which is also strengthened by the help of Snowplow's DBT models. So ultimately, this has helped Kindred to not only understand what campaigns and sources are driving users into their gambling sites, but also they're starting to look at customer journeys in more depth to understand what high-value actions are users performing before they ultimately convert. And through understanding that, they can have more of an influence to pushing and nudging the user in the right direction to go ahead and interact with their different brands and sites. So passing it to you, Travis, how does Kubit complement this story?
Yeah, no, and I think the TLDR here for everyone is, our shared customers between Snowplow, Cloud Data Warehouse of choice, and Kubit unlock a tremendous amount of value. And as you all might have assumed by now, right, Kubit's warehouse native customer journey analytics solution provides organizations with the ultimate flexibility to ask and answer meaningful business questions from that single source of truth, which is your warehouse. We are not ingesting the data. Customers therefore then have increased speed to meaningful insights. And that is not only hands-on keyboard asking and answering questions, but for example, standing a customer up or a prospect up. I just stood up a POC that had over 10 billion rows of data in 45 minutes, and we were off to the races asking and answering questions. In that same process, we passed security in 24 hours because the customer's data was staying in their environment. Our approach inherently lowers the security risk profile of sending out data to a third party for processing, and the InfoSec team gets to use that rubber stamp that they very rarely get to use here. Customers also then have access to a more complete data set within a single source of truth, right? It can be everything that Snowplow is pushing through from a very granular, event and behavioral perspective, but it can also be, data and information from other areas of the business, marketing, sales, product, operational data, you name it, it can be married in, and we can paint a more robust picture. We do all of this with 100% transparency. And what I mean by that is we actually generate automatically the SQL behind every single chart. So there is never any ambiguity about how we got to that. There's never the black box of, well, how did you get there? What governance logic did you apply? Why does it not match up with what we're pulling out of our BI solution? Maybe it's going in the same direction, but they don't add up, right? We take that off the table and allow for 100% accuracy. So all that comes together with a few other factors to net out to a decreased total cost of ownership. And the kicker here is, if it's not working for you, you can just turn it off. That's the beauty of being composable and being warehouse native. We're not holding your data hostage. We're actually not holding your data at all. The entire premise is we can seamlessly stand up or down based off of your existing data strategies and investments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think so many points, just looking at time, that I would love to continue talking about there. I think the glass box versus black box approach, Travis, is something we resonate with, really having that end-to-end control and ownership of the whole data lifecycle, right? From actually capturing that to analyzing it. I think it's something that, more and more brands are looking for in teams. So yeah, really resonates with us at Snowplow and what we're seeing with our customers. Just again, being cognizant of time, want to get to our last question and then look to the audience and address any of their questions. But Before we wrap up, I want to look quickly to the future, maybe take about a minute each, but how do you see the role of analytics evolving with all that's going on, right, within AI and Gen AI? So what should people be thinking about in an AI-driven world as it relates to analytics? Mo, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in my opinion, I really think that data agents will go ahead and likely shape the future of analytics workflows and really highlighting the importance of clean data sets and real-time processing capabilities. And I really do think that Snowplow is a unique position to go ahead and deliver data to allow these agents to function properly. So ultimately, through the Snowplow, the clean data sets and governed data sets that Snowplow is getting into the warehouses, and also the DBT modeling that Snowplow provides to go ahead and make sense of the data to help with things such as, attribution tracking or user interaction tracking and building customer journeys. Ultimately, product and marketing teams can use this clean data sets on top of data agents to go ahead and start asking really pressing questions to understand user trends and also build user engagement driving use cases. So yeah, I think that's going to be the future. It's really taking that clean data set from Snowplow, putting these data agents on top to really ask any questions of the data that we're delivering into these warehouses. What about you, Travis? What are your thoughts about the future?
Yeah, well, I'll say this, where a year ago, things felt like a lot of hype and there was a lot of LinkedIn posts going around with the analysts kind of rolling their eyes behind closed doors. I have started to see a shift in perception and how AI mixed with customer journey analytics might help to deliver more valuable insights to a wider swath of individuals, right? I think the wider component is already here, more hands on keyboard, natural language processing, right? All of that ability. But the value of being able to delve deeper has been emerging right about now. And coming full circle, I think in order to fully capitalize on these advancements, organizations are going to need a flexible analytic approach that can adapt to both their unique data requirements and models and the rapidly evolving technology landscape.
Awesome. Really exciting times, I think, for everyone in the space. So appreciate, again, you sharing these these stories straight from the field. Before we wrap up, I do want to address one of the questions from our LinkedIn audience. So we were asked, is omni-channel marketing still a work in progress? The point is, how much closer are we to tracking and controlling our brand's messages across a user's devices, and hence being able to track across devices in the tools we're discussing today? Travis, you want to take a stab at that first?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and these are, I know, you guys do a fantastic job with helping to decipher this. And the beauty of that is we can adapt to any data model as long as we have those user IDs to be able to stitch this together, no matter where a user is coming from, whether it be digital experience or offline or a trade show or walking into a brick and mortar store and being geotagged, right? It doesn't matter from our perspective. We can come in and help stitch that entire journey together, helping the organizations have a much more robust view about their customers' behaviors and preferences.
Mo, your take, just given Snowplow and our data capture capabilities.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, I've had a history with working with omni-channel kind of marketing solutions. So typically, from my understanding, that's kind of like working across different channels to really outreach to the customer. But in doing that outreach, I think what's really important is personalizing that outreach so that it's specific to the person that you're reaching out to. And I think, Snowplow has solved for that problem over and over again for many of our brands that we work with. So the way that we do it is we really capture user interaction data from across different devices. So whether that be on the browser, on your laptop, or on your phone, or different, maybe you're using several different phones to visit the same site, and different kind of like browsers and so on. So what Snowplow does is we track across these technologies that you're touching, and we go ahead and consolidate that data in the warehouse, build that customer 360. So on a per user level, we can start to understand, okay, this is user 123. These are all of their actions across devices. We stitch it together. And then what brands are doing is they're applying AI and machine learning on top of this data to go ahead and say, okay, this is a product that's best recommended for this user, or maybe this is an ad that's best for this user, or maybe this is a piece of content that's best personalized for this user. So we have to deliver it either through different omni-channel messaging, or even delivered on site as a user visits the site. So we're really seeing this kind of snowplow first approach of consolidating, getting the data in the warehouse, building that 360, helping to succeed with omni-channel messaging.
Awesome. And we actually had another one just come in. So I want to make sure we address Dana's question as well. So with all these meeting assistants in data lakes filled with meeting transcripts, which obviously captures a lot of unstructured data from the client-facing conversations, are any of you working to bridge the gap with insights from these see you're nodding your head, so maybe we'll start with you first.
Absolutely, Dana. Great to see you. We are definitely doing that, and I think right now a lot of the LLMs out there do need a little bit more structure in how the data is compiled to be able to accurately answer questions like that. But that is part of the evolution that I'm starting to see right now, that we are looking at right now, of how to get even things that are a little bit more unstructured, might be a little bit more, qualitative response level type data. How can we incorporate that into analyses in an intelligent way with a high level of accuracy and precision? So I think as we look forward, even over the next year to come, it's going to be releasing functionality that can do this, but also doing it intelligently and in a way that is potentially taking some baby steps forward to ensure that we have the accuracy along with that, along every step of the way.
Yeah, Mo, real quick, I know at Snowplow, we've been investing a lot in our lake loaders, supporting data lakes, thinking about unstructured data. So any quick tidbits here from your end?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question from you, Dana, because as John, as you mentioned, we have invested a ton of time working with sort of like the data lakes. So when you look at data lake house architectures, what they're doing is they're actually helping to combine some of that unstructured and structured data. So you can run queries, run AI on top of that mixed data set. So, and you already have customers today where they're starting to leverage not only click streams, from the site, from the mobile app, user level data, but also mixing and merging that in with lots of difficult to understand unstructured data, empowering AI decisioning. So it's very much a space that Snowplow is helping with. And I think our solution is great to solve for that problem.
Awesome. I know we're pretty much at time, so really awesome insights today. Thank you, Mo and Travis, for sharing your expertise with us and the audience today. If you want to learn more, we actually have, you can see the QR code here, a link to Kubit site specifically and one of their resources. But I definitely encourage you to also check out our site at Snowplow, where we've been writing a lot about this topic lately as well. And yeah, be sure to subscribe for more episodes in the future. We're going to keep being at the forefront of all things data and analytics for you all. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned in, and also check out our upcoming events up on the left-hand side as well. So goodbye for now. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you